Genesis chapter 15. Genesis chapter 15 is a significant chapter in the book of Genesis as it reveals God's covenant with Abram, later known as Abraham, and provides insight into the faithfulness and promises of God. In the first verse, the word of the Lord comes to Abram in a vision, assuring him to not be afraid. God recognizes Abram's faithfulness and promises to be his shield and reward. However, Abram expresses his concerns about his inheritance, as he has no child to pass it on to. The Lord then assures Abram in verse 4 that his offspring will come from his own body and that his descendants will be as many as the stars in the sky. In verse 6, Abram believes the Lord, and his faith is credited to him as righteousness. Just as Abram believed in God's promise, we too are called to have faith in God and trust in His word. Our faith in God's promises is what brings us into His righteousness. To further confirm His covenant with Abram, God commands him to bring a series of animals for a sacrifice in verses 9, 11. In verse 12, Abram falls into a deep sleep, and God reveals to him in a vision the future of his descendants. God tells Abram that his descendants will be foreigners in a land that is not their own, but after 400 years, they will come out with great possessions. Verses 17-21 describe the ritual of making a covenant in ancient times. God passes through the pieces of the animals to establish His covenant with Abram. This symbolizes God's commitment to fulfill His promises and His willingness to bear the consequences if His covenant is broken. Genesis chapter 15 shows us the depth of God's faithfulness and His commitment to His promises. It teaches us the importance of having faith in God's word and holding on to His promises, even in the face of uncertainties.